Alright, so really quickly before we get into today's episode, I just want to start off by giving a shout out and a huge thanks to John, Alyssa, Deb, Aaron, and Steven for being the first people to sign up for monthly memberships to my channel. If that's something that interests you, you can check out the link in the description. I'll be posting bonus content and behind the scenes stuff and also some shout outs on episodes. But again, thank you to everyone who supports this channel, whether it's through monthly memberships or donations or just hitting that like and subscribe button. Alright, so in the last episode we made Tonkatsu Sauce, but now it's time to bust out the big guns and make the crunchiest pork chop you will ever eat. I have a couple pork loin chops that I cut from a roast. Generally people will use a center cut for tonkatsu, but then you're missing out on all this marbling and dark meat, which means juicier and more flavor that only an end piece can guarantee. Because I cut these myself, it actually works out to less than $2 per portion, which I don't have to tell you, ain't not bad. Give the pork chops a quick rinse in some cold water, then pat them dry with some paper towel. You want these as dry as possible. A lot of times too, you'll see people trimming the fat off when making tonkatsu, but fat equals flavor, so don't do that. Generously season the pork with kosher salt and freshly cracked black pepper, and when I say generous, I mean generous. Don't be afraid to rub the pork against the cutting board either. You're gonna want to grab every last speck of seasoning until they look like this. Then pop them on a plate and throw them in the fridge for about 20 minutes. In Japan, tonkatsu is traditionally served with thinly sliced raw cabbage, which is good, don't get me wrong, but I'm a sucker for a good slaw, so we're going to take that concept and run with it. In addition to thinly sliced green cabbage, we're also going to add some thinly sliced green onions and some julienne carrot. All I have are monster-sized ones, so I'm just going to use half of it. The easiest way to julienne a carrot is to slice it on an angle to make long oval discs, then just thinly slice them up. Easy peasy. Add everything to a bowl except for a small amount you add into your face, then give it a good mix and set aside. For deep frying, I prefer cast iron Dutch ovens, since they're great at holding heat and distribute it evenly. They're also much easier to clean than an electric fryer. I'd normally use my largest one for this, but it was dirty and I didn't feel like washing it. It's at this point you're probably saying, isn't that incredibly lazy? Why yes it is.
I also prefer using canola oil for frying. Fun fact, canola oil actually stands for Canada oil. True story. Add a good 3 to 4 inches of a good neutral oil, then place it over medium-high heat. Then set up a breading station using 3 plates, bowls, or loaf pans, which in my opinion are the best. To the first one, add all-purpose flour. To the second, add... Holy f***! How cool is that? I actually got these eggs from a local farm, which is why they're all different shapes and colors. Wait, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. To the second, add a good half dozen eggs. To the third, we'll be adding the best breadcrumbs money can buy. Japanese panko. Whisk or beat the eggs until they're bright yellow and runny. You want them to be the consistency of water. That way they easily coat every nook and cranny. So if they still cling to the whisk, keep going until they fall through easily. I also recommend using a sheet pan with a cooling rack for the pork. The faster it dries after frying, the better. If you don't have one, paper towel works too. Now if you've breaded something before, you know the routine. Flour, egg wash, then breadcrumbs. But the secret to making ultra extra extreme mega crunchy tonkatsu is to dredge it in the flour and egg wash 3 to 4 times first. The reason is to build up a bit of an outer layer before adding the breadcrumbs. This thick layer will stop the natural juices from pouring out of the pork and making the breading soggy. Plus, let's be honest with ourselves, the breading is always the best part anyway. Just make sure to shake off any excess between each dredge. The pork is almost doubled in size, but it's going to be dry and crunchy on the outside and super juicy on the inside. Because the layers are so thick, you'll want to get these frying no longer than 10 minutes after breading them, otherwise the egg wash will start to soak through. Once the oil reaches a temperature of 360 degrees Fahrenheit, carefully lay the tonkatsu in and away from you to avoid splashing. Because the pork is massive and cold, it's going to drop the temperature down to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is exactly where we want it at. After about a minute or so, carefully flip the pork over. Repeat this every 1.5 to 2 minutes to ensure it cooks evenly on both sides. In hindsight, a pair of tongs would have been much more appropriate for this than my spider, but that's alright. When the pork is golden brown and the bubbles have almost subsided, they'll be good to go. But you can also check for an internal temperature of 135 degrees Fahrenheit if it makes you feel a bit more comfortable. They'll increase to 140 up to about 145 degrees Fahrenheit as they rest, giving them a medium doneness. But you do you. Place them on a cooling rack to dry and season generously on both sides with kosher salt. While the tonkatsu rests, pull out the slaw and season with kosher salt, freshly cracked black pepper, and a tiny bit of rice vinegar and sesame oil. Give it a good mix, taste it for science, and boom, slaw. Then bust out your fanciest bowl, fill it with the slaw, and garnish with some toasted sesame seeds. Because this is a bone-in chop, follow the curve of the bone, then just cut right next to it to remove it. You can see just how crunchy and dry the outside is, while the inside is offensively juicy. When cutting a crunchy breading like this, quickly go back and forth with your knife until it just starts to cut into the crust, then press down hard and slice completely through. This will stop the breading from breaking and coming apart. Then bust out your fanciest plate and top the tonkatsu with the whole reason we came here: homemade tonkatsu sauce. Fill a fancy dipping bowl too, since you're gonna want every bite to just be covered in it. And that's it. Japanese tonkatsu, the crunchiest pork chop ever. When I was a kid, shake and bake pork chops were probably my favorite weekly meal. Tonkatsu is just a more refined version of that. And also on steroids. I now offer monthly memberships for my channel through Ko-fi. I release the first bonus episode for free, just so you can get a sense of the kind of stuff I'll be offering as bonus content. So if you haven't already, definitely check it out. It's a vlog documenting my first road trip from Winnipeg to Vancouver, and is a bit different from my normal episodes. So if you like my channel and are interested in supporting it, while also getting some cool bonuses, you can check the link in the description. But liking, subscribing, and commenting are always the freest and easiest ways to support. Thanks for watching, and stay awesome.